What's going on, everyone? So in today's video, we are going to talk about some of the things that I think are essential and almost mandatory to carry around with you if you plan on RVing. Now, I have it all spread out here on my tailgate, and it may look like a lot of stuff. Some of this stuff is kind of interchangeable, and I'll go over that in the video. But these are all things that I think can help you out in a bind and make a stressful experience a little less stressful, get you back on the road again, and things that can also improve your safety. So hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, now before we kick this off, now I'm sure these are tools that just about everyone has. Always comes in handy to have these with you because you never know when you need some type of an adjustable wrench. And having the ability to, of course, adjust this to just about any size you need in a pinch is a really great thing. Are they the perfect tool for every scenario? Absolutely not. And a lot of people would actually frown upon using these for a lot of scenarios just because in some cases they can cause you to strip out a bolt or you can, possibly damage it. But these are definitely things I recommend carrying around, and I got a new set of them today and I want to show you them. So here's my new set, and these things come in really handy, and the big difference between these and the ones that I showed you a second ago are their size. So this is a 2-inch adjustable wrench, maybe 2.5 inch, and this I believe is a 4 or 4.5 inch adjustable wrench. Now, the only reason I got these are because I ran into a plumber who carries these around everywhere. He basically says there's so many scenarios where you need something really compact just to get a little extra leverage on a bolt or a connector or a shut-off, something like that, and carrying around something like this isn't practical all the time, especially if you're going to run in and do something and run back out. So I had to pick me up a set on Amazon. Now, in terms of quality craftsmanship, I can't necessarily say that these are going to perform as well as some of the more reputable brands that you've heard of, but in many scenarios where it's something that just needs to be, a little bit more tight than what you can do with your hands, these can definitely come in handy. Or if you need to loosen something that might be difficult to get a grip on with just your fingers. But check these things out. Super, super, super tiny. And again, comparatively speaking, that's pretty awesome, isn't it? Okay, so I have a mixture of things here, and these are what I would consider to be almost absolutely necessary if you plan on RVing, mainly because they can make stressful experiences far less stressful. They can get you back on the road again if you have issues quicker, but more importantly, they can get you back on the road again in a way that prevents you from possibly dealing with a safety condition. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a flat tire on your RV or on your tow vehicle, and you're on the side of the road and you're trying to work with, a bunch of hand tools to try to get lug nuts off and get things moving. That's going to take a lot of time. Now, if you're on a busy interstate or highway, the more time you spend out there on the side of the road kind of equates to a far likelier chance that you could get injured or something tragic could happen. And I don't want you guys to go through it, and I certainly don't want to go through it with my family when, the whole point of RVing is getting out there and having an enjoyable time. So I've put together kind of my best of list of things that I think can really help you out in a bind. So we'll start on this side and we'll kind of work our way over this way. First of all, I don't carry 2 of these jumper boxes with me. I used to carry this one, but it doesn't fit in my toolbox anymore. So now I carry this one. I got them both off of Amazon. This one I got a couple of years ago, and I don't think they sell it anymore. This one has 1,700 watts worth of claimed peak amperage, and I don't necessarily think that's accurate, but there were a few times with my previous truck that I did have to jump start it, and this thing definitely helped me out in a bind. So this is a really cool product. Again, I don't think they sell it, but there are several other similar products that, have the same type of ratings. Now, I recently purchased this one. I haven't used it to jump my truck because I haven't needed to, but this one comes in extremely handy if I go out to the RV and the battery's dead. I need to open up slides, raise or lower the landing gear. This one just helps me out in a bind, and I've actually purchased several of these since. They're about $125. I think on Black Friday they were on sale for like $80, so I stocked up on these. Now, let me give you the big difference between these besides the power output. This one has an on-off switch on the side, which I absolutely love, mainly because it's not always providing power to the actual ends of the jumper cables, and that can help you out in a safety scenario where you want to turn the power on whenever you get everything connected, as opposed to accidentally or doing something wrong with these and already having live power going through them. So big fan of the on-off switch. Not the only brand with it. There are several brands that have a very similar feature, but I do like the fact that this has that on-off button on the side. Very, very convenient. This one also has a little power indicator right here. This one does as well, but it's just by essentially pressing this status switch right here and it tells you where it's at. LED light on this one. This has a standard incandescent bulb on it. Both have this 12 volt plug right here, and that's going to be very important as we move down the line, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. I do recommend you have a jumper box with enough power to jump your vehicle, and that's generally going to give you enough power to raise or lower your landing gear on your RV, open slides, things like that if your battery is dead. The worst thing you can deal with, getting out to your RV, hooking up to it just to find out that you can't move it because the battery's dead. And on some of these modern trucks, they actually don't always provide constant power to charge the battery, and you may not be able to get much help out of the battery on your vehicle. So these things are an absolute must. You don't need two, but definitely get one that's big enough for your specific application and keep it charged. What I don't like about some of these is it's very difficult to keep track of your cable sometimes, so when you need to charge it, you're wondering where your power adapters are to charge it. I like to zip tie them to the actual box just so they don't get lost. These are nice. They're a little large, especially when you consider newer technology that's out there in terms of the lithium-ion battery packs that give you jumping capability. I've actually shown those on my channel a few times. The challenge I've ran into with every single one of those is that they shut off after a short period of time. So if I have one of these hooked to the front of the RV trying to access things, get into things, out of things, or if I'm trying to raise or lower landing gear, I'm having to turn the thing on multiple times to be able to get that to happen. With these, you basically connect them and it acts like a battery, like an auxiliary battery. It doesn't have all of those other built-in features to allow these super small battery packs to jump start a vehicle, because that's really what those are designed for. They're not designed to provide constant power. They're designed to provide enough power that you can start your vehicle, pack the thing up, and get on the road. In terms of an RV, you might need power a little bit longer than that. You may need to open things up. You may need to get into something. You may need to start the generator on your RV because the battery's dead and your generator's not going to kick on if you don't have a battery. So you can use these in all sorts of different scenarios that those little jumpers just don't work well in, again, because they're designed more for that quick surge, that big peak draw of a vehicle starting, not necessarily providing power for perhaps a few minutes to get a task accomplished. So that's just something I wanted to touch on right there. These are just emergency LED flares. If you're broken down on the side of the road, it's always good to have some type of a strobe beacon light that allows other vehicles coming down the road to see where you're at, just so you give yourself a much higher likelihood of not getting hit by a vehicle coming by, or if you have roadside assistance coming, they have a much higher chance of seeing you. Next, towing strap. This is a 3-inch thick towing strap. This specific one is rated at 30,000 pounds, and I think it's like 42,000 pound brake strength. I have this. I have towing straps. I have kinetic straps. I have all sorts of different types of straps. But having a tow strap, one with enough length to help you out in several different scenarios, especially if you slide off the road in the snow or the ice and somebody comes along to help you, but they don't have a tow strap. Having one can come in really handy. Carry a couple shackles with you as well. This will ensure that you can pretty much connect to any type of vehicle, even if they don't have like a dedicated connection point. And it allows you to connect to your vehicle or rig in a way that's safer with less likelihood of injury. So shackles of really good quality. Tow strap is definitely something you want to consider. Gloves, always want to carry a pair of gloves with you. There's so many scenarios where you just don't want to not have gloves on when you're working around things, especially if it gets really dirty, if it's cold outside, if it's raining outside, you definitely want to have gloves. I carry a socket set. Now, this socket set's very important because it's compact. It's a mechanic set. It gives me pretty much most of the tools I would need to do small jobs. Nothing really big, but you wouldn't believe how many times a socket set comes in really, really handy, and having all sorts of different sizes can help you, because oftentimes with a vehicle, things are going to be either 8 or 10 millimeters. On your RV, things might be 3/4 or 1/2 inch, and having the ability to have pretty much all the sockets you might need, at least in your typical sizes, is going to be really important. So that is something I recommend as well. Moving further down this way, pretty much all this stuff deals with tire care. So, I think most people would probably say one of the biggest issues that people get into when they get into RVing is the chance of a blowout. I definitely agree, and I don't want to be in a scenario where I am struggling to change a tire. So there are a lot of different ways for you to lift your RV suspension off the ground. I'll let you kind of explore those, and I've gone over some of those in the past. But from a tools perspective, power tools are king. They get you off the side of the road so much quicker and safer. They get the job done much more efficiently, and you can use the battery packs and all sorts of other things, including really bright flashlights. I recommend carrying 2 fully charged batteries with you almost at all time, and get the higher amp batteries too. It's always a good idea to have batteries that you know have the capacity to get you through a job versus stressing out over the fact that you may lose all your battery power in the middle of a job. Right here is a toolkit that I have shown on my channel before. Super popular. These are sockets that are reversible. So there's 2 different sizes to them. They really come in a size that can accommodate just about any lug nut size you have. So whether your truck tire goes flat, whether your RV tire goes flat, whether you need to change, the tire in a other vehicle that you might have with you, these pretty much accommodate just about any size that you might need. They are so handy, and you simply take this portion right here and attach it to the side, or the opposite side of the size you're looking for. I have used the heck out of these. They are such great tools, and they make really great gifts too. So if you have an RVer in your family, or a friend, or somebody that you want to get a gift for, this to me is one of the best gifts you can get. This right here is kind of a cheapy extendable ratchet, but what I like about this is it's long enough for me to get the type of leverage I might need on something to torque it down to the right specification or close by feel. So of course, if you're on the side of the road, you're never going to really be able to torque it down to exact spec unless you have a torque wrench with you, or a torque wrench adapter, which I've shown you on my channel before. It just connects right here and it gives you a digital readout of your actual torque. But if you don't want to carry those, or you don't have the budget to carry those, carry at least a ratchet that's going to get you the length you need to get the leverage you need to tighten things up. In my case, this would work for me. And this is kind of moving on to the next one. This DeWalt brushless impact driver is really cool. It works extremely well, extremely fast, and I can pretty much remove or install lug nuts on any vehicle or RV in a matter of just a few minutes. This right here can make the difference if you are stranded on the side of the road trying to change your tire. I have pulled over so many times and seen folks struggling with the typical tire iron trying to get their lug nuts off, just to use this and have the entire job done within 5 minutes. That's just how convenient this is. Another reason to have 2 good fully charged batteries with you at all time, just because you want the power that you need to get through the job without struggling. And then a tire repair kit. You never know if the one spare that you have for your truck or RV is going to be enough, and having the ability to potentially fix a tire on your truck or RV is something that adds an extra level of convenience and might keep you from being stranded on the road even longer, or in a really precarious position. A lot of folks who RV have been in that situation where they blow out one tire, and then a couple miles down the road, another tire blows out. And having the ability to repair it is a really good thing. The challenge you have is, depending on how the tire blows out, you may not be able to repair the tire. And this is really only going to help you if you have a tire that is repairable. It comes with just about everything you need inside of it to fix a tire. From all your bacon strips to tire pressure gauge, needle nose pliers, the cleaning tool, as well as the insertion tool. Pretty much everything you need is right there. Now finally, let's talk air compressor. So right here I have this super cheap Amazon Basic brand air compressor. It goes up to like 120 psi. It's got an LED light at the end. It's got a little digital readout here where you can set the pressure and then it shuts off when it gets there. This will probably be able to fill a couple tires before failing. These things just don't last really long. It was really good when I had the goose box and I was inflating the airbag on it. But at the end of the day, this isn't something that's just going to last forever, but it will get you out of a pinch. And at the time I purchased a bunch of these, they were about $35 each. Super cheap. Now, you can always opt for like a Viair or something more expensive, or an onboard air system like I have on my truck. This was really convenient just because of its size and the ability that I could set the pressure that I wanted and it would shut off at that pressure. So it worked real well for like the goose box. It also works real well for things like a cargo trailer. And like I told you earlier, these 2 battery boxes have 12-volt plug outlets on them. So I have the ability to plug this in to a battery box, carry it anywhere I want around the RV or a trailer, and inflate the tires. So this is absolutely something that I would recommend getting, whether it's this brand, whether it's a similar brand, but I would always recommend you have some type of an air compressor on board with you, because it can definitely make the difference between a trip that is either delayed or canceled and a trip that you can fix a problem real quick and get on the road. Altogether, everything you see right here would probably end up setting you back about $600. The most expensive, of course, is going to be this right here. This right here is going to be about $250. If you get it with the batteries and everything included, probably about $350. So that is definitely the most expensive part. These right here can be had for roughly $100 to $150 for a pretty good one. And the rest of the tools, everything else here, again, everything's going to vary from about $50. You know, some of this stuff's going to be like $20 or $35, and nothing's really expensive here. Some of these can get expensive depending on what you get, but again, if you just want to carry stuff around that can accomplish the task, get you back on the road, things that can fit in a relatively small area or small toolbox, this is what I would recommend having as a minimum. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we will talk to you again very soon.